Good evening and welcome to our 6 o'clock news on Saturday the 29th of January, and it's good to be with you yet again. And in the news this week, an extension to the Waterside Holiday Park, and hopefully the picture's coming up now, there we go, at Bowleys Weymouth is being recommended for approval in face of local objections, including from the ward councillor. Objectors claim that the extra holiday homes will damage coastline views and put wildlife at risk. Dorset councillors will be asked to decide the application at a planning meeting on Tuesday this week, with a recommendation to approve it. Planning officers say the revised scheme would cause no harm to nearby homes or the landscape and complies with the local plan. The original application has been downsized in the light of local comments, including objections from Weymouth Town Council and letters from 70 local people who wrote to Dorset Council objecting to the proposals. Local councillor Tony Ferrari was among the objectors, and he said the extra holiday homes would make traffic problems worse and the site is already too big for the local infrastructure. He also said the extended site will be contrary to the local wildlife policy, as it would damage wildlife by closing the corridors between the end of the park and Eweleys Farm campsite to the east. Around 20 people also wrote to Dorset Council supporting the proposal, and many of these supported the enlarged site as it would provide extra jobs. The amended proposals to Waterside is for 30 timber lodge cabins with green roofs. Waterside says it wants to add extra timber lodges in fields towards the northeast of its existing complex, immediately joining the Dorset area of outstanding natural beauty and the heritage coast. The application also includes a play area, parking and a pond. The proposal was initially for 31 timber lodges with green roofs and 25 timber pods with green or shingle roof, with a portion of a field to the southeast of the existing holiday park. As we say, the amended application has been downsized and is only for 30 timber lodges. Dorset Council's senior landscape architect has maintained that even the amended proposals will have an adverse impact on landscape and visual character and quality, significantly adding to the cumulative effect of permanent and seasonal holiday accommodation in the surrounding landscape. The Dorset Campaign to Protect Rural England group has objected strongly to the proposals on England's only natural World Heritage Site. This development of the Waterside Holiday Park will cause significant damage, said the group's objection, a view supported also by the Weymouth Civic Society. And that's going before planning this week on Tuesday the 1st. And if you want to view the planning committee, you can actually watch the planning committee online. So just go to Dorset Council to get details of how to watch the planning committee online. Dorset Council has been summoned to court following a decision to restrict the live music at Weymouth Town Centre pub, the Duke of Cornwall. An appeal hearing is to be held at Weymouth Magistrates Court on the grounds of a complaint by the pub's landlord that the council modified its premises licence on the basis of an improperly conducted licence review, and that the grounds for the review are not valid. Respect Weymouth, which is a local group, which nobody seems to know much about, but I haven't been able to find anything out about it. But Respect Weymouth had applied for a review of the Duke of Cornwall's licence in November, complaining about the noise. Modifications were made to the pub's licence following a Dorset Council sub-licensing committee hearing, meaning that an earlier finish time was brought to music and other noise control measures installed. But the Duke of Cornwall's landlord, Martin Freed, claimed the measures are crippling his business, and in a closure by stealth move by the council, as customers leave when music finishes, which is well ahead of closing time. Mr. Freed said that there had been no material evidence offered by the council to support the various claims made by Respect Weymouth, accusing the authority of being biased in Respect Weymouth's favour. The members of Respect Weymouth have not been publicly identified by the council. The pub's landlord suspected it is only one individual, or a very small number of individuals, stating that the complaint is an attack by an anonymous self-proclaimed action group and therefore not valid. Mr Freed said that he felt the Duke of Cornwall had been treated unfairly, that the council had not shared vital noise measurement results with him despite repeated written requests for the information, and he also believed that there was a conflict of interest affecting the impartiality of those making a decision on the licensing committee. Mr Freed has now submitted an appeal, and the first court appearance to hear that appeal will be on the 19th of April. Dorset and Somerset Air Ambulance has launched its Blossoming and Blooming Open Garden initiative. Blossoming and Blooming is the Air Ambulance charity's latest fundraising initiative, which asks people to show their support by opening their gardens to members of the public between June and September this year. The aim of the campaign is to bring local communities across Dorset and Somerset together to celebrate the wonderful gardens spread across both counties, whilst raising awareness and funds for Dorset and Somerset Air Ambulance. No matter the size of the garden or whether they are pristine or wild, the charity is inviting everyone to get involved. Whether people decide to simply open their gardens to members of the public or to have a cream tea or a barbecue alongside, the initiative provides a fantastic opportunity for people to hold a special event within their local community in aid of Dorset and Somerset Air Ambulance. Emma Jones, who is the Dorset and Somerset Air Ambulance fundraising manager, said, "We believe that spending time outdoors with nature is essential for our health and well-being. That is why we are asking people to open their gates, share the love of their garden whilst raising funds for us. You could host a picnic, serve tea on the lawn, or just keep it simple and let people sit or potter at their leisure. Whatever you decide to do, Blossoming and Blooming will raise essential funds and awareness of our life-saving work within your local community." Now, if you want to open your garden in aid of Dorset and Somerset Air Ambulance, or you just want some more information, go along to their website at www.dsairambulance.org.uk/open-gardens. So www.dsairambulance.org.uk/open gardens. Or if you'd like to speak to Emma or a member of her team about it, give her a call on 01823 669 604. That's 01823 669 604. There we go. Moving on, Councillor Spencer Flower, lead of Dorset Council, has this week spoken about the importance of local plans. Councillor Spencer has said local plans are a key component of the planning system. They shape how land use and places will change and develop in the future. This is why I've been and continue to be in dialogue with the Secretary of State for Levelling Up, Housing and Communities, and his officials, offering a constructive, bold and ambitious alternative for the way we develop our new local plan, one that is right for Dorset. He goes on to say, "In my dialogue with the Secretary of State, I've been arguing that the current national planning framework is not providing councils with the means to promote sustainable development through their local plans, but is instead about chasing housing targets. As a result of the unprecedented 9,000 responses to our public consultation, many residents share my view that the draft local plan chases housing numbers rather than prioritising all local needs. I'm seeking to reform this framework and proposing that Dorset could be a pilot for a new way of creating local plans based on sustainability and local needs over the next 30 years that also recognises the ambitions of our climate and ecological emergency strategy. We must have a local plan in place. Without one, we face the risk of unmanaged development in Dorset, but it has to be the right plan. Our hard-working and innovative planning officers have ensured the draft local plan is the best it can be, but it's constrained by the current legislation." So what the council is trying to do is to make sure that it's not all about just building as many new houses as possible, but it takes in the needs of the Dorset community, looks at the ecological emergency and all the needs for the next 30 years. Very interesting approach. I wish him well with that, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more about that in the weeks, months and possibly even years ahead. Looking at something else in our local community, the White Horse at Osmington has almost vanished after years of neglect, with no one wanting to take responsibility for it. The white chalk figure, which measures 85 metres by 100 metres, depicts the king riding his horse, and it's now blended into its green surroundings. The historic hillside chalk figure is a tribute to King George III, created in 1808 as the monarch enjoyed visiting Weymouth. The monument, which is a local tourist attraction, requires annual spraying and other maintenance to stop weed growth and retain its colour. However, it's emerged that the figure has not been sprayed since 2019 due to the coronavirus pandemic, and the local council no longer have a budget to maintain it. Local resident Geoffrey Codd, who's 90, who was chairman of the Osmington White Horse Restoration Project in 2011, said he was saddened by its current sorry, dreary state. He claimed that nobody wants to take the responsibility for the figure, and blamed Dorset Council for not preserving a unique piece of Dorset's heritage. Mr. Codd said before the restoration project in 2011 the horse was in a sorry state, and despite all our efforts back then, it's in the same state today. It is a shame to see the horse looking so dreary and worn out. It's such an important piece of Dorset's heritage and unique in a number of factors. The trouble is that nobody seems to take responsibility for it. The council rangers played a key role in the restoration project, but since then Dorset Council, it seems, have washed their hands of the whole thing. It would only take a couple of cleans a year to do the trick, but nobody wants to take action. Now that's Geoffrey Codd's view. Of course, Dorset Council have got a different view, and their view is we'll come to in a minute. But according to a local legend, George III was said to be offended by the carving because it showed him riding away from Weymouth rather than towards it, and he never returned. And of course in the 1980s the TV programme Challenge Anneka, starring Anneka Rice, sparked controversy when they restored the White Horse, and it was alleged that they used the wrong type of stone on the monument in one of its episodes. Now, local councillor Nick Ireland said Dorset Council no longer has any budget allocated to maintain the figure, and neither the council nor the landowner or anybody else has any responsibility to look after it. So that's the official position. There's no budget and there's no responsibility. However, Dorset Council last sprayed it in 2019, and they have promised they will do it again soon. Dorset Council in a statement have said that they understand the importance of the figure to the local community and that they have an annual maintenance plan in place for it. The Dorset Council spokesman said, "This is a perennial issue which always rears its head in January when the ground is saturated, the chalk is dirty and light is poor." The White Horse Adonis, all 85 metres off him, does appear to blend in with his surroundings at this time of year and lose some shape and vibrancy, but this is temporary. We do recognise the importance of this much loved horse to local people and visitors, and while Dorset Council has no budget to upkeep it, we do have an annual maintenance plan which follows the same pattern each year. This includes redefining the edges of the feature with oak boards around February time. Then we clear bigger clumps of vegetation by hand, and when the ground is warmed up around May and when the wind is calm, we spray the horse with a herbicide, and the process is repeated again in August. So let's hope that Dorset Council can continue to do that. It would be such a pity to lose the White Horse that's been there since 1808, but understandably they don't have a budget to maintain it and do have to just find the money and the resources to do it. It would be great if there were finances available to help people maintain this, and maybe this is something that can be lobbied for from government or something in the future. Bournemouth Crown Court has told a local builder he must pay up thousands of pounds after preying on vulnerable elderly women during a rogue trade operation. Weymouth man Frenny Jordan aggressively pressured a 67-year-old woman into withdrawing £1,700 in November 2018 and failed to provide a right to cancel following 3 days of work at her home in rural Dorset, Bournemouth Crown Court heard. The court also heard how in January 2019 Jordan completed 4 days of work on a 94-year-old woman's roof, where he quoted £250. But after additional advisories, the defendant later charged the victim £1,500 with no right to counsel. When investigated by Trading Standards officers, Jordan, aged 60 of White Crowd, claimed The additional costs were to pay for scaffolding, which was later discovered to be false. The defendant admitted 4 counts of engaging in misleading commercial practice and the use of false instruments with intent for it to be accepted as genuine. These offences were between November 2018 and January 2019. Prosecutor Edward Elton said the defendant runs Ultimate Roofing and Building, and he initially quoted the first victim in November 2018 £180 for repairs to guttering and a replacement of a water butt. She was happy with the quote and work began. While at the address, Jordan, along with 2 colleagues, said work was also needed on the roof's cement verge and ridge tiles, but failed to provide a quote. Following 3 days of work, Jordan charged the victim £1,700. The court heard how Jordan had previous offences of not providing right to cancellations in 2011. The court heard that Mr. Jordan was remorseful and admitted his behaviour is not acceptable. He had suffered from anxiety and depression for 20 years, along with an overuse of alcohol to black those problems out. It was also reported he is now winding down his building business and wants to become a HGV driver. He also has repaid the 2 elderly victims. Jordan was given a 42-week prison sentence, suspended for 12 months. He must also complete 150 hours of community service. He must also pay £5,546 in court costs after initially electing the case to go to trial. He must pay that amount within 12 months. Trading standards, this is in general, recommend obtaining more than 1 quote and avoid paying large deposits of payments up front. If unfamiliar with any suggested work or what might be a reasonable price, they are also recommended talking to somebody else, including friends, family or neighbours, and ideally another business. Now, you can report concerns about traders operating in the area, and the first point of contact is the Citizens Advice Consumer Service on 0808 223 1133. And they will liaise with Trading Standards. When selecting a trader to do work for you, Trading Standards can advise that you always consider the Buy with Confidence approved trader scheme, and details are also available by calling that number at Citizens Advice Consumer Service, and again that's 0808 223 1133, and we will return to this story later in the programme. The Met Office has said that parts of the UK could see snow as early as this coming week as Arctic air approaches. Snow showers are expected in February as wintry downpours move down from the north and as far as south as central England and London, so getting close to us. The Met Office suggests we could see snowfall in the UK as temperatures plummet in the final month of winter, with a hint of snow between February the 1st and February the 8th. Forecaster James Madden said cold and snow will encroach from the north during the early part of February, and some of these wintry downpours may reach as far south as central England and the capital. Claire Nasir, a forecaster with the Met Office, added there will be Arctic air streaming down from the north, delivering snow showers particularly in the far northeast of the country. Moving into later February, the Met Office said most will see drier than average conditions, while rain and strong winds are expected in the north. Now, we all know that when those Arctic winds come down from the north, the forecasts are not always that accurate, and it only takes a change of direction a bit, and we can see ourselves in wintry conditions. And whilst February is the last month of winter, we know also down on the south coast here that actually the worst weather we tend to get is from the end of February through to March, and even into the start of April when we've had snow in the past. Now, the coroner for Dorset is seeking the assistance of the public to find the next of kin for a woman who died in Weymouth. Karen Edmonds, who was 72 years old, died at her home this Tuesday, the 25th of January. Her home address was 8 Lansdowne Square in Weymouth, so that's between White Regis and Boot Hill there. Her death is not suspicious, and there are no police investigations needed into her death. However, coroner's officer Sharon Emerson said, "We are not treating her death as suspicious. However, we have not been able to locate her next of kin. If any member of the public has any knowledge of her family members, please can they contact the coroner's office as soon as possible on 01202 123 900. 01202 123 900. Now they're looking for next of kin or family of Karen Edmonds. Karen Edmonds, age 72, who lived at 8 Lansdowne Square, Weymouth. Now if you know anything about Karen and her family or relatives, then please do ring the coroner's office on 01202 123 900. They're obviously desperate to speak to family members. A landmark restaurant in Weymouth has revealed it will be expanding and opening a new venture elsewhere in Dorset, which is set to create around 10 new jobs. Award-winning Italian restaurant Al Molo, which opened its restaurant on Weymouth Pier Bandstand in 2015, is expanding and opening another restaurant in Dorchester. The Dorchester restaurant is set to open in the Judge Jeffreys building on High West Street, one of the town's most historically significant buildings. The restaurant is expected to have a slightly different menu to the Weymouth branch, with one of the owners, Tim Newton, saying that it will be a fish restaurant with an Italian twist. Mr. Newton, who jointly owns Al Molo with Giuseppe Vanucci, said at the moment he predicts he will need around 10 new members of staff and hopes to have the new Dorchester restaurant open by March. He said Judge Jeffreys is an amazing building and there is so much history there. We can't wait to breathe some new life into it. We are hoping to open for March if things go smoothly, and we are excited for a new challenge. We have been in Weymouth for 7 years now and it's just seemed like a great opportunity. Now, something we mentioned last week, a reminder that we told you last week that the highway code changes today, so it's already in place. And there have been some important changes all motorists need to be aware of. Here's just a few of them for you to think about. At a junction, you have to give way to pedestrians who wish to cross the road on the road you're turning into. Cyclists are now advised to ride in the middle of the lane, not to the left-hand side, so that they are visible. Motorists must also give a gap of 1.5 metres when overtaking a cyclist or a horse and rider. Drivers have to give way to pedestrians waiting to cross a zebra crossing and to pedestrians and cyclists crossing or waiting to cross a parallel crossing. We should also adopt the Dutch reach. That's the Dutch reach. That's a way of opening your door when you're opening your car door. By using the arm which is closest to the centre of the vehicle to open the door. So if I'm here, I'm reaching over that way so that I can look back over my shoulder and see anything that's approaching. So when I open the door, I don't open it in the path of a cyclist and take them off their bike, which happens quite often. Now, I am sure, because this hasn't had a lot of good publicity, as we said last week, that there will be publicity coming up ahead this week. There's certainly some stuff in the weekend newspapers about it, so do read that if you get a weekend newspaper. And I'm sure the government will be putting stuff on radio and on TV in the week and weeks ahead, because there are some significant changes in what is required, and we don't want you to get caught out with the changes in the highway code. Now, finally, in our headlines tonight, hairy biker Dave Myers, and there he is up on the screen, gave some Lyme Regis scallops the stamp of approval when he visited the resort this week. The TV presenter and cook, best known for being one half of the Hairy Bikers duo, surprised Matt Yaxley, the owner of Herbie's Fish and Chips near the Cobb, when he joined the queue to get his lunch. And the star congratulated the team at Herbie's for the beautiful scallops he bought. Mr. Yaxley is a Hairy Bikers fan, having received their latest cookery book for Christmas. Mr. Myers revealed he had been staying nearby in a tree house with his wife, and he popped down to Lyme, a town he loves, to visit for the day. He's no stranger to Lyme Regis, having worked on the TV drama Harbour Lights many years ago as a member of the production crew. The show was actually filmed there back in the 1990s. So there you go. If you like the Hairy Bikers, watch out. There's a hairy biker about. Well, that's our headlines tonight. Now, our first feature this week, Janet Hall is reflecting back and looking back at 80 years of Desert Island Discs. I'm sure many of you have heard Desert Island Discs on the radio. Well, this week Janet is looking back at the 80 years, yes, 80 years of Desert Island Discs.
Desert Island Discs. Did you know that 80 years ago, on the 29th of January 1942, the BBC radio show Desert Island Discs was first broadcast? And it is Britain's longest running radio show and the world's longest running weekly factual radio programme. It was devised and originally presented by Roy Plumley, and it was first broadcast on the BBC Forces programme, but later switched to Radio 4. Each week, a guest castaway has to choose 8 recordings, a book, and a luxury item that they would take with them if they were stranded on a desert island. In discussing this, they also reveal, hopefully, some offbeat element of their own life. Past presenters have included Michael Parkinson, Sue Lawley, and Kirsty Young, but the show is now fronted by Lauren Laverne. More than 3,000 episodes have been broadcast, with some guests appearing more than once. In the early 1970s, Roy Plumley interviewed Alistair MacLean, who turned out not to be the famous author, but someone else with the same name. And that programme was never broadcast. Very few of the episodes from the first 20 years of the show have survived. The earliest known to exist was broadcast in 1951 and featured actress Margaret Lockwood. But here are the choices of some people that you may know. Sarah Milligan selected one piece, which she also chose for her wedding. And this came as some surprise because it was Paul McCartney and the Frogs' chorus, "We All Stand Together." Simon Cowell chose an unusual choice of Desert Island Luxury. He declared what he would miss if he was stranded on the island was himself. He was one of the very few castaways to have left the presenter almost speechless at his choice of a luxury. A mirror. Yoko Ono's favourite track was John Lennon's Beautiful Boy, but she also chose a song by Gracie Fields because it reminded her of her mother. Piers Morgan made a surprising choice considering his notorious cynicism with "Always Look on the Bright Side of Life." He said he was trying to think what he would have to play at his funeral, as his coffin was led down the aisle to a weeping congregation. Judi Dench found choosing 8 pieces of music really difficult and decided she didn't like any of them by the end of the programme. The Castaways' top tracks have been Beethoven's Symphony No. 9, Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2, Schubert's String Quartet in C major, Beethoven's Symphony No. 6, Elgar's Pomp and Circumstance March, Beethoven's Piano Concerto No. 5, Elgar's Enigma Variations, Nimrod, and Beethoven's Symphony No. 7. Other popular choices were Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, Bridge Over Troubled Water, Simon and Garfunkel, Stayin' Alive by the Bee Gees, Hey Jude from the Beatles, Everything I Do It For You, Bryan Adams, Someone Like You, Adele, Fernando, ABBA, and Thriller by Michael Jackson. Would you choose any of those? Or would you have another piece of music that you just could not live without on a desert island?
Thank you very much, Janet, there for sharing with us 80 years of Desert Island Discs. Well, something completely different. This weekend is the annual time when the RSPB have their big garden birdwatch. Now, I was looking out of my window this morning when I was doing a bit of work. My office window looks out over the garden, And yes, we did have a few birds in the garden this morning. I also looked in to the RSPB's one of their live feeds this morning, and one was coming from a garden in the New Forest. And I was absolutely amazed to find this bird come onto the bird feeder, which it turned out was a great spotted woodpecker. So some people are getting some wonderful birds into their garden. So this week is the annual RSPB Big Garden Birdwatch. Whilst it's halfway through by the time we're having our news tonight, you still have the opportunity of spending 1 hour tomorrow on Sunday counting the birds and helping the RSPB monitor how birds are faring. It's free, it's fun, and it's a great way to keep your eye on local wildlife. Wherever you are, whatever you see, it all counts and it's all important. Now, last year, more than 1 million people took part in the Big Garden Birdwatch, all coming together to look out for birds. Shockingly, the RSPB tells us that we've lost 38 million birds from the UK skies in the last 50 years. So it is really vital that we do all we can to look after our bird life. And of course, surveying what's out there is very important. Now, it just takes 1 hour of your time to look at a patch of garden and to record everything you see. Of course, as a conservation charity, the RSPB depends on your support to save nature and look after places wildlife can thrive. And you can make a difference by taking part in the Big Garden Birdwatch. In a minute on screen you will see a bit about last year's Great Garden Birdwatch and a bit about this year's as well. So how do you take part? Well, the RSPB tell us it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Number 1, watch the birds around you for 1 hour. Number 2, count how many of each species of bird land on the patch that you're surveying. Number 3, go online and tell the RSPB what you saw. And you can go online to their website at www.rspb.org.uk. So that's what we need to do. Find an hour tomorrow, Sunday, watch the birds that fall onto that patch that you're watching, note down what you see and how many of them you see, and then go to their website www.rspb.org.uk and report your findings. Let's have a look at a bit about last year's Great Garden Birdwatch and this year's, and have an idea of what some of the birds we might actually see.
Undoubtedly one of the best citizen science projects anywhere on the planet. What will you see when you join us for this year's RSPB Big Garden Birdwatch?
Over 1 million of us took part and spent time with nature last year.
Join in and tell us how many birds you spot in an hour.
More people than ever are getting involved.
Be 1 in a million and help us understand how things are changing and how to help wildlife.
I spy blue tits! Join in between the 28th and the 30th of January.
For your free Big Garden Birdwatch guide, just search online for Birdwatch 22.
What will you see in your big garden birdwatch? We'd love to know.
I've got a lovely hot cup of coffee.
My favourite snack would be a flapjack.
Have a great big garden birdwatch.
Have a great big garden birdwatch.
So without further ado, let's kick off Big Garden Birdwatch.
There we go, that's the RSPB Great Garden Birdwatch this weekend. So you can take part tomorrow. If you go to their website, you can download all the bits you need. If you'd just like to watch other people's gardens and some of the nature reserves, they are broadcasting live all weekend. Just go onto YouTube and search for RSPB and you'll find their live feeds. And so I had a look this morning and saw that woodpecker, which was absolutely fantastic. Now, our final sort of feature this evening, we mentioned in the headlines about one local road trader. And unfortunately, you know, there are many honest traders out there, but unfortunately there are still one or two that are unhonest and take advantage of people and actually charge us for things that they don't do. And it's very difficult to be wary and make sure we don't get caught out, particularly as we get older and more vulnerable. Now, the following video from Essex Trading Standards, and I looked at loads of different videos when I put this together, and this is really perhaps the best one that actually explains it in simple terms, and perhaps we can see some of ourselves in this video. It indicates some of the warning bells to watch out for when perhaps we are being groomed by a rogue trader. So have a look at this. And maybe we can prepare ourselves to keep ourselves safe as we deal with tradesmen in the weeks and years ahead.
There you go.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
There's your sherry, Aunt Janice.
Oh, thank you, dear. And did you get one for Raymond?
Raymond, who's Raymond?
Oh, he's my builder. Or should I say, my knight in shining armour.
Builder?
Yes. Do you know, if he hadn't been passing by the house, I'd never have known about the loose tiles on the roof. I mean, the leaks would have been dreadful. You'll never believe what else he found when he was up there. More than you can see from the ground. And the state of the gutters. Oh. It's not cheap. I do say you get what you pay for. You know, sometimes. Mind you, he does do jobs when I don't even ask him. Even when I insist that he really, really shouldn't. He prefers cash.
I bet he does.
No VAT. Oh, can you get me a lager next time?
How do you know you can trust this guy?
Gavin, how could you? Really, I had expected better manners. Look, he's got a leaflet and everything. There, dear, he didn't mean it. Are you all right?
I think I need a little bit of time on my own.
Oh, yes, of course you do.
I'll pop round later for a cup of tea, though.
Oh, I'll get your favourite bickies in. I hope you're pleased with yourself.
But there's plenty of other builders that you could use.
Oh, I know. mean, people are so very kind and helpful. In fact, I seem to have had a run of luck with them lately. And not just builders either. This is Luke. He's terribly clever. He's going to help me with my finances. Oh, I must drink up. He's going to take me to the cash point, aren't you, Luke?
Are rogue traders scamming someone you care about? We're here to make sure they don't get away with it.
There we go, a bit about rogue traders and something to be wary of. And if you think you've been affected by rogue traders, or you're currently being affected by rogue traders, then you can call Dorset Trading Standards, and you do that through the Citizens Advice Helpline 0808 223 1133. Of course, if somebody is at your property and you're concerned and they won't leave, then you could ring Dorset Police on 101, or if it's a very urgent and serious matter, then 999. Now, also, Trading Standards do have a trusted contractor scheme. So if you are looking for people to do work on your premises, and you want to be absolutely sure they're a trusted contractor, you can speak to Citizens Advice, and they will also give you information on the trusted contractor scheme. The best thing, though, really, and the safest thing, is to speak to other people and only use traders that other people have used and that other people will vouch for, and always get multiple quotes for work to make sure that you are getting good value for money. There we go. So hopefully none of you will be affected in that way. Now it's that time of the programme where we see what the weather has in store for us the rest of this weekend, and as we go into the week ahead. And we're going to have the national weather forecast, and this week it's from Luke Mell at the Met Office. So here we go to Luke.
Hello and welcome to your national weather forecast from the Met Office. Some pretty stormy weather to come over the next few days. As we go through Saturday evening, then that weather front pulls its way southwards. The strongest of the winds remain across the northeast, but eventually they start to pull away, and then we see that ridge of high pressure building in. So the sky's clear, the winds drop down, and we'll see quite a widespread frost forming across the country as we go through into Sunday morning. Temperatures in rural spots a few degrees lower than these values may suggest. So that does mean a lovely bright start to the day on Sunday with that ridge of high pressure in place. But the next system waiting in the wings, pulling its way in across Scotland as we go through Sunday. That means further weather warnings in place for wind. As you can see, those isobars once again tightening up with those weather fronts pulling their way through. Another spell of windy weather to come on Sunday evening. Back to Sunday morning though, and as I say, it's a bright sunny start to the day for many places. That sun getting to work on that frost. Cloudier skies out towards the west, gradually invading their way eastwards through the day, but we do hang on to the sunshine for much of the day across the Midlands, central, southern and eastern England. But it's out towards Wales, particularly Northern Ireland and also Scotland, where we'll see the wet and the increasingly windy weather starting to develop. Some hill snow for Scotland as well. We're keeping a close eye on that, but it's the winds tied in with this low pressure that really start to ramp up then as we go through Sunday evening. Now, temperature-wise, on Sunday, they will be a little bit lower than what we saw on Saturday. So feeling cool, I think, for many places, despite that sunshine in the south. But certainly with the wind and the rain, it's going to feel quite chilly across northern and western parts of the country. Now, that area of low pressure remains with us as we go through Sunday evening. So weather warnings in place. Do stay tuned to the latest forecast on that, because it could be another spell of quite disruptive weather. And of course, you can do that across our plethora of social media channels. I'll see you very soon. Take care.
Thank you, Luke. And now turning to our local weather, and here's our local weather for the week ahead. We can see we've got a fairly mild week. Looks like it's going to be dry, cloudy and sunny spells, a bit like it's been today, I suppose. Overcast a lot of the time, but maybe the sun creeping through, but not too wet. So that is good news. Looking to traffic and travel now, the situation with the trains is still reduced timetables. So if you are travelling on train, do check ahead. to check that the trains are running. Journeycheck.com is the best place to get the most up-to-date train information. So for Great Western trains, that's journeycheck.com/Great Western Railway. And for South West Railways, it's journeycheck.com/SWR. Now, there are some roadworks happening this week. The roadworks on Buxton Road continue with some two-way traffic lights as well, so there will be hold-ups there from time to time. Southern Gas Networks are working in Australia Road, Chelby Close and Preston Road this week. Scottish and Southern in Granby Close, Albany Road, Mead Road and Colton Road North. And Wessex Water in Cleveland Road and Church Road. And BT Openreach in Bayard Road and Magnolia Close. So lots of roadworks happening in this current week. Looking to what's on Weymouth Pavilion in the next couple of weeks. 30th of January, that's tomorrow, Platinum Legends. 31st of January, Lawrence Out of Arabia, which is a film about Lawrence of Arabia. 3rd of February, An Evening with Jeff Hurst. 5th of February, Let's Dance. 4th of February, Ed Byrne, If I'm Being Honest. 10th of February, Go Now, the music of the Moody Blues. 11th of February, Jersey Beats. The 12th of February, Rave On, the Rise of Rock and Roll. And 17th of February, Friends, the musical parody. For more information on those, pop along to the Pavilion website, weymouthpavilion.com, or give the box office a phone on 01305 783 Now, interestingly enough, last week there was nothing coming up at the Knowth Fort, but they've put some bits on their website this week, and I can see February the 15th to the 27th, they're going to have a top secret half-term spy mission, something there for the kids by the looks of it. 19th and 20th of March, they're going to have a science festival. Excuse me. April the 9th to the 16th will be Easter at the Knowth, so I guess they'll be having Easter egg hunts and all sorts of other things, and they will be taking part in Dorset Arts Week on May the 21st to the 29th. Also, to remind you that the Royal Manor Theatre Company are starting their Alice in Portland pantomime on the 4th of February. So if you fancy traditional pantomime, do go along to their website, www.royalmanortheatre.co.uk, and look for details of their pantomime. Of course, we have got the Queen's Diamond Jubilee coming up in a few months' time, and I've started to hear of some of the plans of things that will be organised in Wyke over that period. If you've got anything that you're planning and you want to let the community know about, or you want help with, do drop us an email at news@wykeregis.tv so we can share it with the local community and ask for help if you need help. And obviously we want to share all those events that are happening nearer the time, and if we can pop out and see some of them in action. Now, there's no film review this week. There's no new films that have been published this week that we're aware of. And we are now just coming to the end of our programme. Now it is Saturday, it is our quiz night, and in around 25 minutes, just looking at the clock there, our stream will be going up, and in around 25 plus 15, oh goodness, 40 minutes, I had to work that out. In 40 minutes at 7:30 we'll start our quiz. Now that's open to everybody as usual. Do join with your family, friends, neighbours, whatever. Just a bit of quiz night fun. 7:30 with the stream going live at 7:15 in about 25 minutes time. Also, to remind you, there's an 8 o'clock service tomorrow at All Saints Church, and a 9:30 service as well. That will be live streamed, and St Edmunds at 11 o'clock. So that brings us to the end of this week's programme. I do hope that the rest of your weekend is good, that the week ahead is good too. Do drop us those stories, events and news to news@wykeregis.tv, and we look forward to being back with you next Saturday at 6 o'clock. Have a good week. Good night.